All right, everybody. My phone is having a weird thing with the connection, so I'm going to try to turn off my Wi-Fi. I might have to restart it if it doesn't let me. Okay. I'm excited about tonight because I get to show you the inside of this. If my lighting won't be awful with it. So if I go in and out, just keep watching, and the replay will be available as well. But I'm hoping that since I took it off of my Wi-Fi for my house, that it'll stay okay. So the little shadow in front of my face is from my my overhead mount that we're gonna use pretty soon to do our live card demo. So I'm just logging into my Facebook page so that I can watch comments really fast. That white lighting is just awful. I'm so sorry. It's gonna get a little bit darker outside. Wow, that is awful. I'm so sorry. So we'll see how this goes. I found it and I have muted. Hi, Alea. All right, so there are a couple, let me see, a couple of things. So I had someone, I can't remember if it was on my business page or in a group, say that they're not super confident with crafting, or nor do they have time for it, but that they really liked the cards that I made and asked if I sold them. So I am going to try and put together a folder inside of this business page. Hi, Lynn. Good to have you. I'm going to try to put together a folder of cards that I have made that I will be selling to those friends that either don't have time to make their own or are really not into it but still love the cards. So I'm going to try to put together a folder for that and put it on the page hopefully this week. I'm hoping to get a little bit better about doing that now that a card a day in May is over. I can focus on a couple more other things. I was trying so hard to get one done every single day that I stopped doing a lot of things that probably would have been really helpful, including my laundry, although last week I finally got that conquered too, so it's a never-ending thing at my house. So I thought I would show you the cards that we are going to work on. Hopefully I didn't just lose a piece. So I made this one yesterday, and it has the bronze embossing powder on the big wood grain. Let me see what it's called. Hardwood. It's using hardwood, and it is a full stamp. This one is, oh goodness, that's awful. This one is about the size of a 5.5 by 4 1/4. Hi, Kimberly. So this is the card that I worked on yesterday, and I thought it would be really fun to use one of the new in colors. So we're going to use the Grapefruit Grove in color, but I also made it, so I made it in the Mint Macaron, which is a returning color, and then I also used Night of Navy with it as well. So I used the bronze, oh goodness, I'm going to get it wrong. It is the bronze copper, oh, it's the copper trim. It's not bronze, it's copper. Hi, Rhonda. So I used the copper embossing powder on that. So we're going to create this with the Grapefruit Grove as the color instead of the Mint Macaron and the Night of Navy. So that is one of the cards that I thought we would make tonight, because it has some embossing, but it also is just using one color. And so I kind of wanted to show that even with a stamp set like Perennial Birthday, you don't have to use the different colors with that stamp in order for it to look really cool. So this one is the Night of Navy. How pretty that is, that I just used the same color. And then one little element of the embossing, and then this is the mint macaron. So those are that one. So we're going to use Grapefruit Grove for that card today. We're also going to use the Stamparatus because I wanted to show how wonderful it is for this full stamp to use the Stamparatus to get full coverage. Because one of the things that I always hesitated with purchasing those full page stamps is that I could never get it to line back up where I had it the first time. And so if I missed a spot or if part of it didn't get inked all the way, then I just would give up or try it all over again. And so with the Stamparatus, your placement doesn't move because you have it, you can put ink on it back down in the same place to get full coverage. So we're going to use that today, and I'm super excited about it because now everybody can order it. Now that the catalog is out and they're not doing the pre-orders anymore, and so it is one of the coolest tools that I think I've ever used, and I'm super excited for everyone to have one because they're so fun. So we're going to use that. Another one that I made last night was this one. Super simple with some beautiful colors. The base is powder pink. Because there's a couple different spots in this designer series paper that is the powder pink. And then I used Calypso Coral. Hi, Susan. Yes, the Stamparatus is so fun. I am so excited for everybody to get it. So I used the Calypso Coral in the background, and then I wanted to break up these just little strips of paper and cardstock, and I still wanted to be able to see the Calypso Coral behind it, and so I used some of our vellum cardstock to adhere the strips of paper to, so that I could also tie this bow around that. And so I thought that would be a really fun card to show just how easy that was as well. So we're going to try, and then if we have time, I thought I would show a couple of my favorite things out of the new catalog too. So I am going to get kind of tricky and flip you around. So I'm going to cover you up, and then we'll be back in just a second. I'm going to try really hard not to make you completely dizzy and sick. So I also have a fancy clip to hold my cord so it doesn't get in the way. So I'm going to flip. And I think we're in. Might not be steady enough. Just a second. I'm going to try really hard not to make you completely sick. I sort of tested it, and it was being kind of tricky. So I'm going to put my cord there so that that doesn't get in the way. Okay, so we'll try that. And then if my lighting is completely awful, then we will move from there. So, all right, I'm going to make my screen a little bit bigger because it's cutting off. Yeah, I thought the vellum was a nice touch. So here is a little bit of a different angle of the card that I want to work on tonight. And I also I'm going to show you the new chamois, and you're going to see that it's already loved. It's already loved, but this thing is awesome and is 100% perfect for the Stamparatus. I'm just going to say that right now, that if you have a Stamparatus or if you want one, this thing is a must-have. It is saving me so much of cleaning time and just being confident that it's right where I want it. Okay, so I'm going to pull my Stamparatus out. So I'll swipe these out of the way. Yesterday, since I made the 2 cards. Hi, Terry. Since I made the 2 cards, I learned a couple of different things. So with the Mint Macaron card, I used a sheet of 5.5 by 11 of cardstock when I did the full stamp. And that worked really, really well because I could use my magnet on my Stamparatus to hold it down. So the next time I was like, oh, I'll just plan ahead and I will cut out the cardstock exactly to the size that I want it. So the next time that I made the card with the blue one, I cut it out exactly the size that I wanted. And then I remembered, oh wait, how am I going to use my magnet on that base and still cover the whole image? And so I couldn't use it. So it was a tiny, tiny bit off at the top, but I figured that was the price to pay for not thinking that far ahead. And so I managed to get it so that I was happy with it, but it was still at a point where I was nervous that I was not going to get it lined up properly. So for this card today, even though I have already cut the size of cardstock that I wanted, I'm going to use this piece of the 8.5 by 5.5 with the Stamparatus. Terry, I'm so excited for you to see this. She's getting this as a birthday gift. So that is super fun, and I cannot wait because she's going to love it. All right, so let me grab, I'm trying to see where my other clear block is. It's disappeared. It's probably sitting right in front of me and I don't even notice. There it is, just in case. All right, so what we're gonna do is I'm gonna try really, really hard to get the whole Stamparatus in the frame for you so that you can see how awesome it is. So why I wanted the clear block for this part is because I want it to stay here for when I'm inking. I just use it as a base. You can also use a stamp case, and that is almost lined up perfectly, so that actually we'll use that one instead. So having something underneath it when you are inking it up is super, super helpful. So we are going to use, this is just the clear mount. This is a clear mount version of the Hardwood stamp set. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to line it up on my cardstock right where I want it. And then I'm just going to have my magnet here to try to help hold down the cardstock. So that is a Whisper White cardstock. So then what you're seeing is that I did not have it attached to my base yet, but that as soon as I lift that up, it's going to go right back where I want it. So I am going to use our Stampin' our Watermark Versamark stamp pad, and this is a little bit loved by my brusho because I had it too close one day. So what I do when I put on my Versamark is I kind of take it with my fingers and I do kind of a twist motion just to make sure that I'm getting all the coverage in those tiny nooks and crannies that we have. And then I just kind of tap all over it. So that's what I did with the Versamark. And so I kind of covered the whole thing. So we're just going to hope that it goes. But if I didn't, and this part will probably be harder for you to see. I'm sorry if I'm shaking the camera at all. But if I didn't get ink in some of those places, like I'm seeing a little bit right here. So what I can do, because I have missed a spot that I want to be inked, I take my Versamark all over again, and I just ink up the whole stamp again. And because I have the Stamparatus, I am going to push it down. I'm going to stand up this time and kind of give it a little bit more of a push. But because the placement has not moved, hi Shelly, I can ink up my stamp all over again, and it is going to give me the coverage that I wanted the first time. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to remove my plate and set it aside so that it doesn't get any embossing powder on it, and I'm going to take a piece of this copy paper, and then I'm going to set my inked up image there, and I'm going to use our Copper Embossing Powder over the top of this. So I am pretty liberal when I give my embossing powder, when I put my powder on, just because you can always redo it, but that way I can kind of move it around and get all those little nooks and crannies. All right, so now I just give it a little tap. So now that is what I was looking for. So that little spot there was not inked that first time that I put it on there. See, I just made a mess. Wouldn't be stamping if I didn't make a little bit of a mess though, right? Being creative causes you to be a little bit messy sometimes. So that is also why I moved my stamp out of the way. There, hopefully I didn't get in the frame with my face. All right, so now I have my heat gun all ready to go. And so it'll get a little bit noisy here for a second, but I'm going to try to get this so that you can see the fun of what's happening. Because this is probably one of my favorite stamping techniques, is the embossing powder. It is something that I have been doing for years and I love it. So you can kind of watch it. And this brown, or copper, I keep wanting to call it bronze. I'm so sorry. This copper embossing powder is probably one of my favorites. There was a season where I didn't want to use anything except silver, and then when these copper accents came out, they almost replaced the silver in a lot of ways, just because I loved that it kind of almost takes on a rose gold with it. Hi, Debbie. So happy to have all of my friends here tonight. We have such a fun stamping community, and we were just talking on a friend's page about how fun it is to enjoy the same hobby and enjoy crafting together. And some of my highlights of my week is getting to spend that time on Facebook Lives with some of my Stampin' friends. And so I was so excited when some of you moved over to keep me company from those pages as well. So I'm so happy you're here. So this is almost done, and you kind of, that was probably longer than I would have liked, but look how pretty it is. It's so gorgeous. So what we're gonna do with this is we're gonna cut it into the panel on the back. So I'm just gonna set that one aside, and then I'm going to take my platform, and I'm going to take my damp Stampin' Chamois, and I'm just going to kind of like rub it on here to try to get that Versamark off. I can kind of like smush it down. And Versamark is a really sticky ink, and so what I love about the chamois is that I can clean it and reuse it, and it's not gonna like leave that yucky residue. I've done it several times now, and it doesn't even feel sticky. And so I'm super, super impressed with the Stampin' Chamois. So that is my clean stamp, and it's ready to just be put away. So if you notice that I don't put my stickers on my clear mount stamps when I am using them, and even with the Stamparatus, that's going to be a lot easier to do because it stays put right where you want it to be. And so you could use copy paper as like a tester to see if your placement is right. But once you put it down, you really are going to get fantastic coverage from wherever you put it. But the chamois with the Stamparatus is like, they're best friends. They deserve to be together because they just pair so well together. I just love them. So they are worth the tiny little bit that they are, because I'm going to tell you, they are not expensive. And with how many times I've already used it and washed it, they are going to be, they're going to be best sellers. I just know it. I'm going to find them. I'm looking them up because they're so cool. All right. I don't know my catalog by heart yet, as sad as that sounds to me. There they are. Okay. So the Simply Chamois is $8. It's $8. It's so good. I mean, the Stampin' Scrub is only $17, but when you can't lift those things out and scrub your stamp, or if you have to take it off and hope to not get ink all over yourself, this one is the best. It's the best. So, all right. Enough with that commercial. We'll just move on to the next part of the card. So I'm going to grab my little cutouts that I already have. And this was the panel that I had created for this. But as you can see, I would have had ink get all the way around, and I would have not been able to put down my magnet. So that is why I have used a bigger piece of cardstock, is so that I could hold it down with my magnet so that my cardstock would have stayed in just the same place that I wanted it to, so that when I needed, so not if I needed to, when I needed to re-ink it so that it would get full coverage, that I would still have it right where I needed it to be. So I'm going to put this piece aside and use it for a different card later. And then for this one, we're going to do this one really fast with our embossing, and then we can move on to the assembly part of the card. Yes, Debbie, that's it. That's what I am. I saw that from another demo. She had put it in a Stampin' case. And so I just took out one of my retired stamps and put it in with another set that I use it with quite often. And since I'm still kind of transitioning out of being a hobby demonstrator into a business demonstrator, I still have quite a few stamp sets that I just am having a hard time parting with. And so her tip was to put it in a Stampin' case. Now, what I am learning is that because the Stampin' Chamois, the Simply Chamois, is wet, we do not want to leave our case closed all the way. So you want to leave a little bit of room so that it does not get mildew or anything like that. You want to have air getting to it when it is wet so that it can dry properly. You also probably want to wash it out after. So if I'm stamping and if I'm creating for several different cards in one day, I will probably use the same one all day long and not wash it until the end of the day. But at the end of the day, I will run it through and clean it and just wash it out. And then I usually will just set it in an open case on my desk so that it can air dry, because I don't want it to get yucky and smell and all those things. And I don't want the moisture to get stuck in the case. So that is a tip for the chamois. Also, I will tell you that it will get, I have put a little bit of the Blue Dawn dish soap in it when I have washed it, but not very much, because I don't want the soap to penetrate it. And I want the soap to come out fairly easy. So when I have used the dish soap, I have used very, very little. And then when you leave it open in the case to dry, it will stiffen up. And what I noticed was it stiffs. When it stiffens up, it will often take shape of whatever is next to it. So when I leave it in the case, I noticed that it stayed more flat. But when I had it on the counter, it wanted to kind of curl a little bit. And so if it's hard and it curls, I'm not wanting to risk it, but I do not want it to snap if it's too hard. And so I have just decided that after I wash it, I want to put it in the case and leave it cracked open on my desk so that it can dry properly for that. So that is all we're going to do with the Stamparatus, but I just wanted to show how awesome it is for those full-sized stamps to get the coverage that we want. So I'm just going to set our Stamparatus aside. And usually when I am storing it, because I don't have a fancy case yet, I will fold one over, and then I kind of lift the other one up, and you can see my light in the reflection, so sorry. And then I just kind of place it on the top, so it's not in the hinges being folded over, it's just sitting on the top. And so that is how I store mine right now. And right now I just set it on my desk because I have been using it more often. Now that everyone else can get it, I can show it without feeling guilty that I'm rubbing it in or anything. So that is what we're going to do for this one. I've got some embossing powder all over that, so sorry. Yeah, so thank you. I feel like I learn a lot of things just by trial and error, but I'm really trying hard to remember the names of the people, of other demonstrators that I have kind of gleaned ideas from or had helpful hints from. I like to watch a few demonstrators that live in Australia and then a couple in Canada as well. So I like to watch Kylie Bertucci in Australia. She has some really fun lives. She's actually going to go live later this evening. Now, for her, it's Monday. Monday afternoon, I think, is when she likes to go live. And so usually I just watch the replay. And then I also watch Alyssa. Oh, that's even the wrong color. I'm not even paying attention to what I'm doing. Sorry, friends. So Alyssa Tilsner is also from Australia. And so she has had some really fun things on her Facebook Lives that she does, and usually I watch those on Friday mornings. And then I like to watch Allison Okamitsu, if I said that right. I can't remember how to say it, in Canada, but she hasn't been doing as many lives recently. So that's just a few that I like to watch. And of course, my fearless leader, Robin Cardin, my pink stamper. And then I like to also watch Sharon, the praying stamper, my buddy Sharon, and then Edna on Edna Marie's Bond, or Creative Bond. She changed the name. It used to be Inkstructions. So if you guys have Facebook Lives and you want to post them on my page, that is totally fine. It has been such a fun community for me to be a part of. So I would love to support you in that way, and my friends are so welcome to go follow you and enjoy watching that crafting and be inspired by the rest of my crafting friends. I love that we can do that to support each other. So what I'm going to do is I am taking the Grapefruit Grove, and I'm gonna show you again how I watch. Yeah, they're my favorite, Shelly. Yep. So I also have started watching Rhonda Wade on Be Creative. And so she's one that I just started recently watching, and hers are super, super fast. And so usually I'm always wanting to watch long ones, because usually when I sit down to watch my lives, I have like an hour and a half at a time sometimes, or it's like late at night like this after I've put my kids to bed. So the new ink pads have a little bit of a stick sticky learning curve in the beginning. So I just thought I would go over that again. So you want to open it like a compact, like you're going to look in the mirror, and then you just slide forward, and then when you're closing it, it'll make kind of a click when you close it. So I thought I would walk through that part a little bit before I moved on completely. So I'm going to show you kind of how I did these two colors a little bit differently. And so I learned that the lighter colors, it's a lot easier to see the whole phrase. And so when I did the Night of Navy color, when I'm holding the card, it's not hard to read it, but it's definitely harder to see the sentiment there. But I did a little bit of different flowering around it, and I kind of liked how I rotated between them to get the other flower in as well. So I thought I would show you that really, really fast. And then, so we are going to use this other rose. And so I only have one of the block D. And so often what I will do is I'll put one stamp on one side and one stamp on the other if I'm going to kind of use it more than once. And so I can kind of use them and clean as I go. So I'm going to use this one over here. And then I'm also going to use it on this side. And then I'm going to use this one. So that just gets the most out of your, I'm going to use this one and put the leaves kind of towards it. The most of your clear blocks. So that's just one of my, you can either call it lazy or cheap. I will answer to both. Getting more out of one block. I'm sure it could be labeled lots of different things, but that's what I have right now. So I have one E block and one D block, and then I have a bigger one that used to be for this one, but I won't need it as often now because of the Stamparatus, which I love. I love that we have that. So now I'm going to put the leaves on there, and I'm just going to kind of put them off the little edges here. I'm hoping I'm still in the frame. I keep thinking my head's in the way of you guys. So that is what I'm going to use that for. And then we'll do a little bit of little accents with this tiny little flower bud. Okay, so we're going to go in here and here. Okay, so we've done a little bit more flowering on this one, but because it is a lighter color, I'm not quite as worried about it. I don't think it's going to matter very much for that. So now we're going to take our sentiment, and I'm just going to try to put it as straight as I can on the block. And that is all we're going to do with the Grapefruit Grove. So I'm just going to push it on the edge until I can grab the sides and click it up there. So I really am not an orange color girl. And so when the new ink colors came out, they're very primary, and I wasn't quite as thrilled about them as I would be over some, oh goodness, I really love Old Olive and Night of Navy. I really like that they put color in the neutrals. I feel like the neutrals are probably my favorite, with that Mossy Meadow and the Night of Navy, just because I find myself using those earth tones a lot more than any other color. So I'm going to put the sentiment kind of off and on the opposite side of what I did before. And let me see, here's my paper. So I used the Versamark to put our sentiment on, and now we're going to use that Copper Embossing Powder on there. move my stamp side aside because I will most likely make a mess with it. And I'm just tapping it off on there, and I think that I got good coverage on that. So I'm just gonna pour my embossing powder into my container, and then we're done with that. And so I will take my heat gun again. And a good tip for the heat gun is to not use your hands to hold such a tiny piece, but since I've practiced, I feel a little bit okay about it. I'm just gonna hold it as far off with my fingernail as I can, and I'm going to start on the opposite corner. So I usually use my heat gun on the second, on the number 2 setting, almost all the time. I don't know if I've ever used the first setting because I just feel it helps to have it as warm as possible. So then I just flipped it around to do that last little bit on there. And so we are done with that. So that is so pretty. And I feel like with the Grapefruit Grove color, that I can even see that a little bit better than I could the mint as far as the sentiment goes. They're both in that lighter tones and would be really, really pretty together, actually. But I think that with that coloring, it definitely looks a little bit more like rose gold, for sure, that copper color. So that is all the embossing we're gonna do today for that. And then I'm gonna, since I already have my chamois out, I'm just gonna use that for my sentiment stamp as well. So I just gave it a little rub in there, and then we are done with the Perennial Birthday. I was so excited that that was carrying over into the new catalog, because it's not very often that stamp sets that have had kits with them that the stamp set carries over. Usually, and just at least from what I remember, they are retired with the kit. So that is the piece that we're going to work with today. So we're going to cut that down using our Stampin' trimmer. And I'm sorry if I'm shaking the table all over the place. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Stampin' trimmer and I'm going to remind myself of my measurements. So we're going to do this one at just under 4 1/4. And so I'm going to try to take that off so that it has the embossing on the inside of it. And then we are going to do, I'm pretty sure we're going to do that. So I'm going to take a little bit off the top and the bottom because there's a little white strip at the top and the bottom. And then that'll be taken off. So I'm doing just a couple notches under a 5 1/2 for that. So has everybody had a good weekend? Mine was pretty good, not too busy. Had a little bit more downtime. Since I got to prep for these, I feel like I've had a ton of time, because usually on my lives I'm definitely not this prepared. And 9 times out of 10 I am figuring it out as we go, which isn't always a bad thing, and I like including everybody in my process, but quite often I do not come prepared, and Sharon is always so good about it. She does a great job with being prepared. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab just some Scotch tape and my paper snips. And the way that I've done this on the last couple of cards is I kind of took my copper trim, and I did a couple of different things with this to kind of play with. I really like when you can pull the copper trim apart and it gives kind of that netting. But for this card, I kind of liked how the zigzag pattern looked on the card as just that kind of pretty accent there. So we're gonna start it about here, and I just start it by putting just a tiny little piece of tape over the top of it. I'm gonna try to not tape my finger down. And then what I do is I kind of put it together on this side where I can see kind of what it looks like, and then I flip it over and I just take another tiny little piece of tape and put it down. And so then when I'm doing my other little loopies, I kind of know what direction I want to go and what I want it to look like. So hopefully this will not be too confusing for the rest of you, because I didn't really think about this when I practiced it. The rhyme and reason to it was pretty much on the fly. All right, so when I do this, I kind of want it to loop like that with a little bit more. I'm just trying to watch to make sure that my tape doesn't go off the edge of the circle. And for these circles, I used our Layering Circles framelits. I thought about using the stitched shape framelits as one of as my white, my Whisper White circle, but I really liked the bigger bigger border for our Grapefruit Grove color, and so I went with just the normal layering circles. Oh, that's awesome. I'm glad you guys had a good weekend. Let's see. So, we got two of my kiddos are going to help out with the worship team for their, it's kind of like Vacation Bible School, but we call it Kids Camp. So my older two are older enough to have, the opportunity to be on the team. And so I got to help with their rehearsal today, so that was fun. They had a blast. So I just taped off the last little bit there, and then we're going to use Stampin' Dimensionals. I also thought I would show what I did. I did a couple of different things. This was my first one that I did with the mint macaron, and I used snail adhesive to adhere this layer. Even though I had put my copper trim under there, I had used snail, and then it just kind of like bubbles right here. And I wasn't all that fond of that one. So with the next one, I used, and then I used the dimensionals under the colored layer. And then for this one, because I wasn't fond of how that layered down with kind of bubbling up on that side where the copper trim was, I used the dimensionals on the white, the Whisper White layer, and then I used snail to adhere the Night of Navy color down, and I liked that a lot better with not having the little bubbly part there. So that is what we're going to do for this one. And I am using up some Paper Pumpkin Stampin' Dimensionals right now, so I use them all. Nothing goes to waste around here. Oh, thanks, Debbie. Ooh, I would love to have pool time. I'm celebrating the fact that we had a 60-degree day today, and it felt wonderful because here in Minnesota, we have had some 90-degree days already, and so for that to happen in May has not happened since we moved here 3 years ago, and so my summers have not been that hot that fast since we got here. So when today woke up and I needed my sweater to go to church, I was really excited about it. So what we're gonna do now, but I would love to have a pool. I think that would be super fun to have that pool time. My kids would love it to have that. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna show you how how I just pieced together. And then I'm hoping that I have my snail close by because I cannot remember where I put it. So I have cut this card base at 4 1/4 by 11, and I'm going to score it at 5 1/2 because I really think that this type of fold, I don't use it very often. Oh wow. Yeah, those thunderstorms, they do that to us. I just don't use that fold very often. So we are going to, let's see which way. I like this part, so I want it to be at the top of the card so that it's not covered up at the bottom. Here it is. I found it. It helps when I put it in the right spot. That does not happen very often. So I am going to put snail adhesive on all 4 sides of my cardstock just to help hold down because I used that embossing powder and then I did a strip in the middle. And then I have given it just a little bit of a border there. So sometimes with these bigger layers, I want to use Tombow Mono Glue, but snail is usually my adhesive of choice. If I'm not mass producing, if I'm making a ton of cards with a ton of different layers, I will use my ATG gun most of the time, but I haven't done that in a long time because I just love our snail so much. And when they put it on those specials where I got lots of refills, I loved it. So I love how that is kind of got some room to move under there. So that is our card number 1. So I hope you guys like that. I thought it was super fun to have that just one color. I'm just featuring one color with the Copper Embossing Powder. And I'm sorry if that off-kiltered Stampin' grid paper was bothering anybody, I just noticed. So my OCD might take over. Hi Norma. So I think that they came out really cool. I don't always gravitate towards the lighter colors. I would usually do that one. And so it was really good for me to try using a color that I wouldn't normally use. And I think that Grapefruit Grove color is so pretty with the Copper Embossing powder. So that is card number 1. And so we will, I didn't even check to see what time it was. How long have I gone? It's not telling me. So we will try to do this one really fast. I think I have all the pieces that I need. I might have to find my designer series paper. There it is. So this card was actually inspired by, I had a LuLaRoe friend who posted a top that almost looked identical to this designer series paper, and so I snagged it really fast because I thought it was so cool that I could match our paper. It is from our new Garden Impressions designer series paper that comes in a 6x6, and this has 48 sheets of designer series paper, and they are beautiful. The colors that are represented in this pack are Calypso Coral, Mango Melody, Melon Mambo, Night of Navy, Pacific Point, Petal Pink, Powder Pink, Soft Sea Foam, So Saffron, Shaded Spruce, and Whisper White. And those colors look so stunning together. And when I saw that navy background, I knew that I wanted to feature that in a card layout. And this one actually is for one on our Pink Stamper team page for one of the challenges. I think that one is for the sketch challenge, so I have not even posted it yet. But here is the vellum that I have used, or that I'm going to use. I think I have it cut a little bit. Nope, that's good. So I'm just gonna make a couple of different strips and we can assemble this super, super easy card. I loved how easy it was, and I loved that so many of my favorite colors were represented in that card. So what I did with this card is I cut strips in 3/4 of an inch, mainly because I wanted you to be able to still see the Calypso curl behind it. And I thought that that yellow just added such a fun pop to the page. So I used that. And then I used Night of Navy. And then the other, so they are cut at a little bit over 4, in between 4 and 4 1/4. And then 3/4 of an inch. So I did 2 in the Night of Navy. I wasn't 100% sure if I was going to do another card tonight, so I didn't prep this one 100% to be ready. So we'll just trim down our layers just a little bit. So this one is going to be cut at a couple notches under 5 1/2, and that just a couple under 4 1/4. So that one is ready, and then we will use our powder pink and we will score it at 4 1/4. So I love that our Stampin' trimmers have both the cutting and the scoring blades. I use them all the time. I'm trying really hard to be adventurous and teach myself how to do bags and boxes using the trimmer, but I just have not I've not trained myself very well for that yet. I wish I knew where I put my bone folder. It has walked away from me. I feel like I used it recently, but I don't know where it is. We'll have to find it later to give it that more sturdy crease there. So let's take, I'm gonna put our Calypso Coral down on our powder pink base to start with, and I'm just gonna do a little bit of snail adhesive on 2 of the sides, and my borders are usually pretty small, just to give that little tiny trim around it. And then this page of the vellum is actually a little bit smaller than the one that I used for this, because I used the full size. So what I'm going to do with this one is I'm going to actually line it up next to this card so that I kind of have a guide. And I'm going to do the middle 2 pieces first. And I'm just going to cross my fingers that that is going to help me. So I'm just going to use our snail adhesive, and I have a little bit of a fuzz, so I'll scooch that out of the way. And I'm also going to use our grid paper here and try really hard not to put my head in the frame. And cover up so that you guys can see. So I'm going to use that as my guide there, because once I have those middle pieces on, I'm pretty confident that I can line them up decently. I just didn't want that piece of vellum to go to waste because it was a little bit too small. Because I'm still going to be able to use my ribbon the way that I want to anyway, so I won't have to worry about that. For the thank you sentiment, we are going to use the stamp set from the Petal Palette Stamp Set that I'm so excited is carrying over, has carried over. I'm still used to saying carrying over as if it's not time yet, because it's here. The launch has happened. I'm so excited. my order that I made on the 30th comes on Tuesday, so I just left a little bit of space in between each one so that you can see the Calypso curl behind it. And so we have a little bit of overlapping, but that is totally fine because you cannot tell on that side. I wanted to order one more of the Petal Passion Designer Series paper before it retired. So I grabbed some of that, and I grabbed some more snail and some more dimension, or either glue dots or dimensionals, one of the two, that I knew I was gonna run out of here shortly. And then I'm still trying to narrow down my list for my official first order and saving up for the possibility of going to Onstage in November. I'm really trying not to overspend when it comes to product that I want, because I would much rather use that money towards getting myself to Florida in November. So I'm trying to pace myself and hold off on making that order until, oh goodness, I don't want to say the end of June, but that's really the the next time that I should probably wait to make an order, because I let me see if you can see that tape through. You can't. So I was checking to see if you could see the Scotch tape through the vellum right there, and it's not super visible, so that's not gonna matter. So I'm trying really hard to not use my spending money on product that I want from the new catalog, and I'm holding off so that I can save up for Orlando. I'm pretty sure I have my hubby on board, which is super encouraging. He's very supportive, but all of my way has to be saved up by myself, because we just don't make a ton of extra spending money income. So I just put a little bit of snail on each of the layers where the cardstock, where the DSP is there, so you can't see it through. And I'm going to leave a little bit of room at the top. So that is my goal. I'm trying really hard to save. I want to meet all of my friends, and getting to be a part of the 30th anniversary celebration would be really super fun. It'd probably be like a dream that I've had for like 15 years when I first was introduced to Stampin' Up! And I thought back then that I would want to be a demonstrator, but that part didn't happen for like 12 years after I was introduced to it. So the fact that I would be able to go to an onstage event in a place so far away from us here in Minnesota, that would be a long exciting thing to get to be a part of. But I would probably be super emotional just getting to be a part of something so big like that after so much time. So I'm really gonna pace myself, hopefully. I'm saying no to right now purchases. So what I'm doing with this shimmer ribbon of the powder pink is I have just taped it to the back, and I am a super big fan of these knot bows just because they work so much easier for me 9 times out of 10. And so I just like to trim them at an angle once they are attached to the card, and they're like my safe ribbon. Yeah, I've never been to an onstage live. I've only been to an onstage local when it was in Minneapolis a year ago. But I was not able to go to one that was close to me this last season. And so it would be super great if I could get there. So I'm saving up my pennies, and I'm also doing, my husband is a pastor at a church, and so I also work in the office part-time, and So I've been able to do a couple of, doing the sound for a couple of weddings, and I've been able to do some of the janitor cleanup stuff after those events. So I'm trying to little by little do events like that to help me save up extra money for those trips. So as far as I know right now, I'm getting that way closer. So I'm gonna keep trying. So what we're gonna do is we are going to use the Thank You from the Petal Palette Stamp Set, and I love to use the clear mount stamps. They're probably my favorite if I were choosing between the 3 types of stamps that we have in the catalog. I love the cushion that the red rubber gives, and I feel like it is, I am a lot more confident with them. I was trying to think of what the best way to say that was. So I'm just going to take some of that leftover Whisper White cardstock that I had from the embossed layer of the last card, and I'm going to use, this is of course the old stamp pads. I am going to probably try to get the newer pads little by little, but because I'm saving up, I'm trying to make my priorities, and because these colors that I have ink pads for are still current in the catalog, I want to use them if I have them, and only splurge if it is something that I have the extra money for. So I'm going to hold off on doing that, just making the most out of the ink pads that I already have. And this one is not even a year old yet from when I got it, because I had the old one. Here, I'll show you. I got this ink pad when I first started looking into Stampin' Up! Stuff, and oh goodness, like that number on the back is like 810112. So super old. But look how different they are. So I was super excited to see the new design. I really think I like it a lot. But until I really need them, I'm probably not going to invest unless it is a really good deal, or until I have those extra funds for that. So I'm just going to use my chamois to clean off that stamp again, since I already have it out, and it's already there. So I'll just clean it when it's time. And then we'll trim it up and we'll finish up this second card. I feel like we got so much more accomplished because I was prepared. I'm learning. So I'm going to grab my trimmer. I had it sat on the floor next to me just to trim up the thank you. And we're going to do it. I'm just going to have a little bit of a white border around it, not a ton. And I'm not really measuring it according to the size of the cardstock, just leaving a little bit of white space around it. So then I'm just going to take a little bit of snail adhesive, because I'm not really like needing that to stand out. I kind of like how flat the layers are, and I'm just sitting it down. I kind of like that I did this one in reversed with the pattern paper, because I kind of like the sentiment on the Night of Navy instead of on the DSP, because I just think that the designer series paper is so pretty and stands out so well that that's what I want to feature in that card. So that is our card number 2. So those are the cards that we're going to do tonight, and so I'll show you again the ones that we have talked about, or the ones that we created from tonight. Definitely gravitated more towards those matching colors tonight. And I think that seafoam green almost looks like it could be that mint color when it's sitting next to it. So I hope you guys like the cards that we made tonight. And now before we go, I'm not even sure how long I've gone, but I thought I would show you a couple of my favorites that are on my list from the new catalog now that we can share it with everybody. So again, I'm sending out catalogs. Some of them are on the way already to customers who have ordered in the last 6 months. So if you have not ordered with me and you are a customer of mine and you would like a catalog, you can just place any size order and I will get a catalog in the mail to you as soon as possible. So the first one that I want to show, because thank you everybody. Thanks for those nice words about the cards. The first one I want to show is this kit. So couple months ago, we did a card kit class of the Soft Sayings card kit, which I was super excited was carrying over for all of those that have missed it. Yeah, the new purples are super, super fun. And I was very, very excited to have Blackberry Bliss come back. It was one of my favorites of those in colors that year, and so I was very, very excited to have that color. So this all-inclusive kit is one that I will be getting soon, and I'm actually going to do a card kit class using this stamp set probably within the next couple of months for sure, just because I feel like these colors could be used at any time of year and are going to be just beautiful cards to feature. So that will be something that I definitely want you to be watching for. I'm going to show you a couple of now I'm like speeding through the catalog. So those of you that don't have it and can't look at it, don't be worried. I will probably do a video where I'm just looking through page by page so that you can kind of see my favorites that way as well. But since we've already been here for quite a while, I should probably stick to the time frame and show you my couple of must-haves. So I am getting this one soon. That is one that I have ordered already for, and then this one I got with my celebration points. I don't know what you guys got. That was one that I love the sentiments of this, probably more than the images themselves, but I will show you that I did not think I was going to use this image at all until I realized how well it would pair with my Father's Day card for my dad, because my dad is a children's pastor, and in the summers he instead of having children's get-togethers on their Wednesday nights, they have a cycling club. And they take families go on this cycling little journey. I think they usually try to do like 45 minutes of bike riding, and then they have a van that follows them for when they're done. And so I just thought this would be such a fun thing to put on my Father's Day cards. So what I did was I used the Night of Navy, but I stamped off to make it a little bit lighter so that you could just see it through that vellum cardstock. And so I used the All Things Thanks for the You're the Best. And then I was so glad that these large letters were sticking around in this catalog. But I'm excited to give that to my dad. Hopefully I will remember to mail it, because that's the hard thing for me to do. I have no trouble whatsoever about making the cards, but getting them in the mail on the time that I need to is like the most impossible thing ever. So I hope I am not alone in that. So I was super excited to get that with my free points, and I was glad that it was a part of the pre-order, because it was definitely a stamp that was worth it just for the sentiments alone. So something super exciting about this one, this is on my list for sure, is that the June Paper Pumpkin Kit is going to be going or paired with somehow to this suite. And so the colors will probably be similar, which are so cool. That basic black and lemon lime twist together already. We're already huge fans of that. But with that lovely lipstick color from the new In Colors, it is so, so, so cool. And I can just picture using these little dot stamps that go over the top of these with embossing powder like the copper. And I cannot wait to use this for birthdays. I feel like it has so many possibilities with the framelits and everything. So that's definitely on my list. So there's our little Perennial Birthday that we used tonight. And I love that they have sections in our new catalog that have the You Can Make It section, because not only does it give you all of the details of the things that they have used in these cards, but it gives you a number so that you can order it all at once. So it's like putting a bundle together already. So it's saving you so much time. If that's what you want to make, if these are the cards you want to put together, then all you have to do is put in one number. And so I think that is such a fun feature that they have given us. This catalog is probably one of the best catalogs that I have seen in several years. And someday I will show you how big my stack is of old catalogs, because I keep them. I love them. I used to take them, well, I used to take the old ones on car trips with me and take a thing of Post-it notes and put marks next to all the cards that I wanted to recreate. When I first started stamping, I had maybe 10 stamp sets and maybe 4 or 5 ink colors. And I had some friends that would also get different stamp sets, and so we wouldn't buy the same ones as each other, and we would all come together and we would turn on something like Friends or Gilmore Girls or something way back then, and we would not watch them at all. They'd be really on in the background, and we would just stamp and stamp and stamp. I have to sneeze. Phew, excuse me, I'm so sorry. Oh, I'm so glad I'm not alone, Susan, that somebody else has that problem too. I'm super excited to get this Treehouse Adventure stamp set. I can totally see my kids loving that set. So I'm very excited to get this color, the Granny Apple Green. That one is definitely on my list. Thank you, Norma. So I'm just going through here, looking for my next favorites. I really like the framelits on this one. I am super curious at the different types of cardstock that you can use with that big framelit that they used, the old olive color or the Mossy Meadow. I think that is so, so cool. Thank you, everybody. Thankful for my little community here. I love the Love You to Pieces bundle. It is probably one that will not wait until July because I love it so much. There are so many special friends that I have in my life that either have children with autism or they have them in their family. We have a couple at our church, my little buddies that I help with on Sunday mornings that have autism. And when I see a puzzle piece, I am automatically gravitating towards it. Just for all of my little friends that I have, that are affected and their family is affected, and they are such little miracles and they are such a huge blessing to my life. And so that set is probably near the top for me, because it reminds me of all the people that I love. And so I love the bright colors in this stamp set, and those sentiments are super, super pretty in the tropical, chic stamp set. Let's see, this one. This is one of my favorite ones, and I really have been kicking myself because demonstrators have been able to buy this for a long time. And it was there early, and I probably could have purchased it, but because I'm trying to save, I just have been withholding. So we'll see how long I can last. I have a little bit of a budget, but just trying to make wise choices. But this one, I love the sentiments. I love the flowers. I love the paper that we used today that goes along with it. I just love it. Everything about that Garden Impressions suite is so, so great. I mean, the colors are bright, and the way that they have paired the little embellishments and metallic ribbon combo, I just love it all. I think that they are going to be super, super popular, and I cannot wait to get the stamp set and those framelets. There's only 3 framelets in that set, but they have so many possibilities. I feel like this is an updated, better version of that Rose Wonder stamp set that was in the catalog, or even of the, they had another flower one. I'm not sure if that one's still in the catalog or not. I have not done a lot of research on it, but they had another garden one that was like two embossing, or not, 2 plates die cuts that had flowers that you could put like a bottom part and a top part. I can't remember what the name was off the top of my head all of a sudden, but I feel like this stamp thinlet die is super similar to that, and with so many more possibilities that they're going to be a favorite for sure. You can cut the flowers out in different sizes. You can use it as one big piece. There's just even the little flower that they put behind that. There's so many things that you could do with it. So I just love that one. This one is super pretty. If you liked the Beautiful You, the Beautiful You stamp set, this one pairs really, really well with the lady designs in that one. So that's another one that was super, super pretty. This is another one on my list, the Rooted in Nature bundle. I love the thinlets that pair with it. I feel like that is going to be one that is used for years and years to come. And I'm honestly super curious if this is their way of saying goodbye to Lovely as a Tree. Because Lovely as a Tree, I looked back. It is in catalogs that I had in the beginning when I started looking. It's not one that I own. But now that they have this one come out, I'm probably not going to get it because they're probably going to send this one away. And then I'm not going to be able to use it anyway. But I love the different elements in this set. From the tree stump that I really, really liked in that wedding anniversary set that they retired. I feel like this, not having any writing on it or not having any other thing on it, you could use it in a background. You could do so many different things. These leaf stamps that you can see the tiny little veins in them, I think are so beautiful and would be so pretty in like a white embossing powder on vellum. They're going to be so beautiful. And they right here have used copper accents in their display, and I love them. So I am super excited about this whole bundle, this whole suite. Hi, Kelly. And those two bundles are probably my top, or suites are probably my top 2 in the catalog. Again, super excited about the You Can Make It feature that this catalog has. It's going to make card classes a breeze because you're going to have the exact number that you need to give. Hi, Julianne. I love that they're showing a little bit better, more ways to use the punches with their background stamps, because not everybody thinks about that. And so I love that they do that. This is another really fun suite that our lovely Lauren got to use at in her onstage presentation. I'm so thankful that they got to record that for those of us who didn't get to go. I was so bummed when I heard that she was getting to show her designs on stage in Las Vegas. So the fact that they let Robin record it for those of us who couldn't go was super fun. I love this Gallery Grunge stamp set. I love the wood grain that they have in it. It's going to be awesome for backgrounds, and I love how they've done it in that card there. So those are pretty much my top favorites when it comes to the sweets. I was super excited to get the Share What You Love suite in that special bundle price and get those freebies. That is part of why I did not get those other suites, because when you see 3 different items that you can get for free, including that exclusive stamp set that is our mission statement, is our vision, there was no denying that I really wanted that just for that stamp set alone. And so the fact that they had that bundle available kind of took my other top ones off the list a little bit. So totally fine. Super excited about the new Stampin' Blends colors that are coming out, and I love the delightfully detailed laser cut specialty paper. I'm super excited about getting some of that. Let's see if there are any other things that I really wanted to tell you about how happy I am. I love that this Big Plans Memories and More card pack pairs with the new planner. I don't know if you guys are planner people, but I love my planner, and I have used cheap ones and I've used expensive ones, and I used my Stampin' Up! Planner so much last year. And so I love the fact that we have a Memories and More card pack that pairs with it, because I am super weird about matchy things. And so the fact that they have created things that pair so nicely together is such a win for me. And I feel like it is going to show how versatile our products are when it comes to coordination. It is not like any other company when it comes to craft products, that we can pair all of these different things. Even if Stampin' Up! Hasn't put them right next to each other in a catalog, there are so many possibilities when it comes to things that coordinate with each other. So those are my top favorites when it comes to my favorite suites and bundles. As soon as the new Stampin' Blends become available in their combo packs, those are definitely on my list, because I was trying so hard not to use them when they were on back order or not orderable, to tease customers. But man, I miss them so much. Just trying to use things that are current and available so that I'm not teasing. I'm not teasing people. But they are probably my most favorite markers that I have ever used. And I have not ever used any other blends, so I didn't have anything to compare them to. But I definitely am not a marker girl. I just, when I use ink pads, I love getting inky that way, but the markers, I never gravitated towards them. So I'm super excited about all my favorite things in this new catalog, and I hope that you guys are too. I am going to sign off now. If you're just joining us and didn't get to watch the beginning when we created our cards, which I'll show one more time. So we created this one to pair with the one that I made yesterday. But I'm going to do my best to load this video onto my YouTube channel and share it on my blog as well. And I will also be posting pictures with the items of what I used in these cards in case anyone wants to recreate them. And I'm super excited that I had so many friends joining me tonight on my Facebook Live for Sunday. So I am going to do my very, very best coming live next week at the same time at 8:30 Central after I get my kids to bed. I will tell you that I will probably be in a little bit of a different location because my kids will be out of school. They have 3 more days of school, and I'm not ready for them to go to school because this is the first year that I have another part-time job, and so I'm having to be brave and trusting my 13-year-old's help at home. So I'm a little bit nervous, Mama. So I loved hanging out with you all tonight, and I am excited for the next time we all get to craft together. If you are creating cards or scrapbook pages or having fun creating, please share them on my page. I would love to see them. I think that it is something so special that we can inspire each other in our creativity, and I just love that we get to hang out together. So I'm so happy to have you all, and I will see you all very soon on one of our other friends' Stampin' pages. So I'm pretty sure Sharon is going to go live tomorrow night, so be watching for her there. And I hope you all have a wonderful week, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye.